What is up, everybody? We're gonna be jumping into Unit 2. Okay, so we're talking about motorcycle-specific gear, basically your full set: helmet, jacket, pants, gloves, and boots. But right here, I mean, there's a lot going on. Okay, so we have a lot of gear. It's like, what do we get? How do we get it? Everything. It's like, it's very overwhelming, especially if you get the wrong kind of gear. You're kind of stuck with it. You can't really return things after you wear it, especially on the bike, and it's in the terms of service, even at Revzilla. But basically what we're looking at when it comes to gear is impact protection, abrasion resistance, weather mitigation, and body temperature thermal regulation, basically, because it's really important. So when it comes to abrasion resistance, we don't want to get road rash. Okay, there's lots of different levels of road rash, basically from barely the top of your skin, like a little rug burn, to you're removing flesh, like muscle tissue. It's not fun. So what we need when it comes to gear is good abrasion resistance. And they typically have the abrasion resistance on the jackets on the outside, because when you start tumbling, that's where it is. Same thing with impacts, and we'll talk a little bit about that. On the pants, you're gonna have it on the buttocks, you're gonna have it on the knees, on the sides of the hips. Gloves, you're gonna have it definitely on the knuckles, but you're gonna have reinforced stitching on the, hopefully, on the palms. Boots, pretty self-explanatory: to protect your feet, protect your ankles, make sure it's nice and solid so that you're not banging around and actually ripping your ankle off while it's still in the boot. It can happen, I've heard about it. And then helmets, pretty self-explanatory there too, because you don't want to get a cracked skull. Okay, so that's the impact part, but it still protects for abrasions. You don't want to rip your scalp off or remove your face. I know we're getting pretty dark here, but that's kind of what happens. So impact protection though, on jackets, impact protection for a jacket, where it should be is in your elbows and then your shoulders, and then sometimes they do include back protection. Right here, this is a D30 Armor back protector, but most of the time you'll see a gray piece of foam in there. That's just padding. Okay, you want to get an actual back protector. Okay, and that's how they kind of cheap you out a little bit. Hey, it's a cheap jacket, but the back protector is like 80 bucks. Okay, so just kind of anticipate that. So impact protection for there, impact protection for pants is going to be in the knees. Typically, that's pretty standard. They do offer in the hips, so if you can find some with hip armor, even better, because you don't want to break your pelvis, okay? Your iliac crest right here, you don't want to do that. A lot of blood vessels, your femoral artery goes through there. Break, 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 no, 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 you don't want that. So knee armor, hip armor, and then you got some abrasion resistance on the buttocks. Okay, when it comes to gloves, same thing. You're gonna have in the front, on the knuckles hopefully, and then maybe a little bit on the palm. Not too much when it comes to these. We'll talk more about short cuff and long cuff gloves when it comes to that. Helmet, impact protection, obvious. Okay, so now when it comes to weather mitigation, it's kind of just gonna be a quick little overview of it. So if you ride in the rain, get some rain gear. If you ride in the snow, get some gear it's designed for snow, which is gonna typically be heated gear. Okay, so you're gonna wanna get some gear that's gonna provide external heat, because if you can't produce your own body heat, it's not gonna keep it in. So you wanna have maybe some external gear. But if you're good with layering up, that's fine, because with layers, you can actually start taking layers off when it starts warming up during the day. That's what I typically do with gear here in Tucson, in Arizona. This is all summer gear, but when it gets to winter riding, I just put like Under Armour cold gear. I know, motorcycle brands have their own version of base layers, but start layering up. Get a base layer, get a t-shirt, maybe a long sleeve underneath it, then you have your jacket, and then it gets, it could help you out there pretty good. So yeah, cold gear, same thing, but yeah, summer gear, you don't want to be wearing all that winter gear during the summer. And so I have, like I said, perforated gear here. This is also a summer jacket. This is Cool Fly Cool Pro 2, so it's designed for this. And then this is the Reax Alta Mesh. The mesh is in the name, so it's actually pretty airy. It flows pretty well. And the goal there is to make it to where I don't overheat. So weather mitigation, it helps out when it comes to your body temperature. So that's what we're also trying to work for, is that we either get gear that's specific to wet riding. We don't want to have to be soaking wet, and then when we're riding 45 miles an hour, to have that evaporative cooling removing our body heat. So if we're able to get rain gear that's going to not pull our heat away because it's just sliding off us because it's Gore-Tex or whatever it is, and we're able to keep that body temperature in, we should be doing fine. If we get too hot, we're gonna get woozy, drowsy, dehydrated. We're gonna make bad choices. You ever see anybody dehydrated? They pretty much look like they have a fever, and you're riding a motorcycle. So we don't wanna be super cold, we don't want to be super hot. We want to have that right temperature, and what's going to help you out with that is the right gear. And so we're going to jump into that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about helmets next. We're going to talk about jacket pants, talk about gloves and boots.